This video is going to be the complete how-to guide of building a sprinkler system, as you see pictured here. I built the entire thing myself. I'm brand new at this. I've never done anything like it before, never even glued PVC fittings together. This is my first time, and I got probably about a 350-foot run of sprinklers running around my house for a grand total of $1,600. This is in April of 2023. Pretty happy about the way everything turned out. I'm going to run you through everything I purchased, how I set everything up, all of the steps I did, the research I did, and how it all works. So I'm fortunate enough to have an excavator and a truck and trailer, but you could actually just get dirt delivered. Usually your local quarry or whoever will deliver it in dump trucks for you. But I had some dirt here on hand, so it didn't cost me anything to bring in some dirt to cover up my incredibly rocky yard, which you'll see caused me many problems working around all these millions of rocks that I have in the yard. Here I have Griffin, my little helper, my 3-year-old son sitting on my lap helping me out a little bit. And I'm loading in probably about 9,000 or 10,000 pounds of dirt into the trailer, which is roughly about what the max it can hold each time. The excavator actually does that in probably 6 or 7 good-sized scoops. As you can see here, fills that thing up right away. I'll mention that in terms of stuff that I purchased for this, I use the Rainbird 9-zone simple set controller, which actually works super well for getting this thing going. It only cost $85. I'd recommend using that if I was you. Here I'm dumping out the dirt onto the yard and smoothing it out. I actually wish now that after I'm finished, I would have dug in the trench and trenched in the sprinkler before I put out the dirt and spread the dirt, because it just brought up more rocks to the surface that I then had to spend hours and hours trying to pick out of the dirt, which was not very fun. Yeah, so here's my dump trailer dumping out. And my son, he's been a big helper in this whole project. You can see him in his little blue-green coat. I think he's going to get his rake here in a second to help me rake this out. Yeah, so the entire thing, as I mentioned, cost $1,600 to do myself. It's a 350-foot run with 7 zones. Yeah, so here's getting the dirt out of there, and here comes Griffin to give me a hand, spread the dirt a little bit. What a good guy. Yeah, so basically get the dirt, spread it all out, went all around my house doing this with the truck and trailer. It took a fair bit of time. I have a little Kubota tractor that I was able to use to help spread it out. I'll show you guys exactly how I did that in a minute. If you didn't have a tractor, you could use something like even a quad or something if you had something to push with. That could help. I didn't record all of the dirt spreading, but I have some photos here for you. I was using the back of the tractor bucket to spread things and pull it back out as I went around. I drove the truck in here. You can see the tractor in there, and I was using the bottom of the bucket to spread it and pull it as I backed up in reverse, and that did pretty well. Eventually I went and got a steel I-beam that I have as well, and I just chained that to the bucket of the tractor and dragged that around, and it worked pretty well. Here's my neighbor's mini excavator that he was super kind to let me borrow, and so you can see me here going through and adding in, beginning to do the excavation. A lot of people might be intimidated at using or renting a mini excavator, but they're actually super easy to use. They're fairly intuitive, and with a couple hours, you'll get used to it. You're not going to do anything crazy. I wouldn't take it right up next to your house or something when you're first doing it, but you definitely can learn how to do it. And get it going. I've run excavators a little bit, and I had learned on my bigger excavator a while back, and it's relatively simple to learn and quite a bit of fun to operate. So I'd recommend it if I was you. Yeah, so I told you I was going to tell you the complete list of things to buy. So buy yourself a Rainbird 9-zone simple set controller for $85. Rainbird 32 SA rotor sprinklers, $10 a piece. I bought 20. That was $200. I bought Southwire 18 gauge, 10 wires in a cable underground sprinkler wire burial. That was 350 feet. It cost me $423. Waterproof wire connectors. This is super important. You want waterproof wire connectors when being underground so that they don't get damaged. You also need valve boxes to cover up your valves and so you can get in there and work it later. I bought 8 of those at $20 a piece for $160. I used 1-inch PVC to run the water line out of my house. I had 20-foot sticks of that at $10 a stick from Home Depot. 30 sticks, schedule 40 for $320. I used Orbit 1-inch inline valve jar tops for $14 a piece. I needed 8 for $112. I used a Husky 2-inch ratcheting PVC cutter. That was amazing for $26. Clean cuts every time. PTFE tape for $5. I use Orbit 1/2-inch, 18-inch flex risers, which are like flexible tubes that come up from the ground. I'll show you how those work in a bit, but those made it so much easier to install this. I had 20 of those at $4 a piece for $85. And then PVC primer and cement for $15 a piece, and maybe about $200 in miscellaneous 1-inch fittings like T's, Ells, and things that would help me size up and size down. The total cost was $1,663. I was quoted $10,000 by the local sprinkler company who was going to come in and do it for me. And I thought that was a little bit steep and that I could get it done on my own, which I could. It took me around 50 to 60 hours of total work. Some of it was fun, some of it was annoying. I'll show you what was annoying, what was fun, what not, but it's totally something you could do yourself if you wanted to do it. Here was the toughest part of running the excavator. I had to do it between the house and my garden fence there, which is electrified, which made it a little exciting. But just taking your time and putting the excavator in turtle mode makes it pretty easy. So here I am trying to get it all squared away just the way I want it so that I can pull it out. I was actually checking a track right there. I thought a track might have been slipping a little bit. But I checked that out and it was okay. So continued to operate. Yeah, so continued to dig out the ditch, brought it around the back. And you'll see here where it starts to get tight. It gets a little bit exciting. I was targeting a depth of about 8 to 12 inches, but I ended up a little deeper around most of my ditch, around maybe like 15 inches, 16 inches, but it really wasn't a big deal as eventually when I got finished, the pipe all fit and everything anyways. Okay, so here is where I'm installing the actual pipe in the ditch and gluing it together. I made a giant mistake with these green Orbit valves that are electrically controlled. They actually only are allowed to point one way. There's arrows all over them, yet somehow I forgot about it. I'd actually seen them earlier and I forgot that those valves are there. So I actually, later on in the video, have to go back and cut out 4 of these valves and turn them around and reinstall them after I'd already had them electrically wired, so that was a little annoying. So you can see my system here. I had that wheelbarrow that I took along with me, full of all the supplies I needed, and there I am with my PVC primer and the PVC cement. That's actually pretty straightforward to do. It just takes time to sit there, and every single piece has to be held on for 30 seconds as the directions say. And I was following the directions to a T because I wanted it all to hold together and not come apart. So you can see me here. This is in extreme rapid motion. It actually took way longer than this actually shows. I think the video's something going to be like 30 minutes or something like that. But as I mentioned, it took me probably 50 hours of actual work on the ground to get all this stuff to come together. Now, see out there that little blue flexible pipe coming out to the sprinkler head? Those are those flexible hoses I was telling you about that work so amazingly. I'd strongly recommend using those because then you can run over them with a tractor later on and it'll just push them down the dirt rather than break a pipe. And you can also just more easily adjust it up and down the dirt by pushing it up and down instead of fighting it. Here I am coming around the yeah. Now here's where I had begun actually, and actually I forgot to glue on that segment I'm holding on right now. And at the end of the video, you'll see it pops out when I actually charge the whole thing up with water. But that's all right. I was learning. This is my very first time, as I mentioned, and everything you're seeing here and seeing done is what it would be like for you as a first timer, maybe to try and do. I don't know if you saw that my pants butt was wet a little bit from sitting in the wet dirt, but eventually I figured out to cut out a little piece of plastic trash bag and put it over my butt, so when I sat down it didn't get wet. That made it a little more comfortable to work. To help you understand how much time goes by while you're holding these fittings, look at that little camera image in the left side where it faded into the back. Then this is the second day of working. It takes quite a bit of time. I want to give you a better close-up view of that flex riser again. So you see the sprinkler head is threaded onto the blue 18-inch flex riser, which is then threaded onto from a 1/2-inch fitting that goes up to a 1-inch PVC fitting, and that's how I attached each of these. On the right-hand side, the pipe is my main water line that always stays charged up with water. On the left is the zone that I'm working on. You can see the green orbit valve there that I'm going to wire up later, and then the other two sprinkler heads. So this valve controls 3 sprinkler heads on the left-hand side. That left-hand side 20-foot PVC section is a zone with 3 heads on it. That's how most of my zones are. They have either 2 or 3 heads. And then basically I have wires that run from inside my garage and through the trench on out, and then each point adjusts with it. See, I've moved the camera here down a little bit. I'm setting up another zone. Once again, the right line is my main water line that always stays charged with water. And then the zone is going to be on the left. And right now I'm doing the fittings that will attach the main water line to that zone on the left. You see I just attached a sprinkler head down there. Now I'm going to come to the other end and do one over here as well. I'll speed this up here a bit, but you can see how this comes together, each section, as I move through it. Here is where you can see my fashion debut of the trash bag over the butt, so you can sit down in comfort and not get your butt all wet. And I kept the PVC pipes in my garage because you're not supposed to get them having as much sunlight on them. It makes the pipes more brittle, which I did notice when I was trying to cut pipes that had sat out for a while. They tended to shatter a little bit when I was cutting them. Here's me repairing the valves that I put in backwards. You can see right here I'm taking the valve off with a pipe wrench and twisting it around. The wires are actually connected to it. Bad news with my sprinkler system. As you can see, these valves have little arrows showing the direction that they're supposed to go. That one's correct. However, out of the 7 that I installed, 4 of them are going the wrong way. Oops. Oopsie daisy. And this one's going to be a tough one to fix. I'll show you why. Well, actually this one's got valves going the right way. Thank God. The arrow's going the correct direction that way. Basically, I'm going to have to cut these out and then flip them around and reattach them. The problem is, on some of them I don't have enough to work with. So this one, you can see the arrows are going the wrong way. So I need to cut here, which is fine. I'll just add a coupler and I'll flip it around. Here though, I don't have enough room, I don't think. I'm gonna need to cut through this, and then I'll probably have to just do a whole new deal right here. This will have to all be new. I'll have to do a whole new thing. Unscrew this. Although, you know, maybe if I cut this one off, I might be able to unthread this one. I cut off here, then I could unthread it this way. The problem is I have all this wire, I can't get it too tangly. Once it's unthreaded, maybe it'll be okay and I can flip it around and thread it back in. Let's try it. Is it white trash Batman? Or white trash Superman? Actually, I just put a trash bag on my behind so I can sit in the wet dirt while I'm working on my irrigation system. Okay, I'm testing everything out now. I've tested all 6 zones except for the 7th, which I'm going to test now and demonstrate. You just hit water zone 1 now, or water 1 zone now, and then I go run out and check and then come back and turn it off. So there it goes. Run out. It'd be very helpful to have another person for this. Well, this is the first one that hasn't worked. Let's go check and make sure I turned it on. Well, it was on, I think. It's an orange wire going to number 7. Water 1 zone now. Okay, it's on. So let's see if I can spot the problem. Well, if it doesn't turn on right while I'm... Well, that makes sense. I did the red wire, not the orange one. Oops. Alright, I gotta fix that. Well, here goes attempt number 2. I've got orange wired to orange for zone 7. Run! Watch out, kitty baby! Here comes Dale! Oh, there we are. What the? Well, that one's not going. This is my trouble zone, apparently. Oh. Well, looks like I got a little PVC repair. I highly recommend, after all the work of digging the ditch and putting the PVC in and gluing it all together and building your zones and investing in all this stuff, you cover it back up with sand, especially if you have as many stones as I do. If you look at my spoil pile over there on the right, you can see it's very rocky, and you'll see rocks on the left I picked out. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm getting ready to put sand over the top of the pipe, and I'm going to refill the ditch. Now, to do that, one of the big things I really wanted to do was I don't want my sprinklers getting lost under there. So I stuck in a concrete stake, rebar, and wired up the sprinkler to it so that it's not going to move around. Using a little bit of baling wire, which is some of the most useful stuff around, and also this hammered in concrete stakes. You can see what I have all along here. My sand, and hopefully I can keep this pipe safe so that it doesn't break after all this work. Okay, so to test the zone, you turn the zone nozzle to the zone you want to test, zone 6. Then you press water 1 zone now. Then you run out there, see if it's running before it gets your tractor too wet. Should be 3. Hell yeah, look at those. All 3 of them are running. All right, let's go turn it off. Okay, so I'm filling the ditch in, putting sand in first on top of the pipe, and then filling in other material around that. Pulling out lots of rocks as I do it. I'm trying to put markers, these little wood dealies, shims actually, next to each sprinkler head to prevent running it over. I'm going to put flags there later. I really don't want to run over those things with the tractor. Fortunate thing is I'm putting a lot of sand around those things, so if I did run it over, hopefully just squish down to the ground and not get broken. But it's pretty light plastic, so I'd say I'm maybe 1/3 of the way done with the primary areas. The back area should go quicker because I don't have to cover up vaults or worry about sprinkler heads back there. I just got to put some sand in, then fill it in. Maybe 1/3 to 1/4 done. Yeah, coming along pretty well. I already tested zone 7 over here, and it sprays and works like it should. I'm going to test that zone 6 right now. Make sure I didn't screw anything up while doing it. I don't know why there's a hole there. That's not good. Shit. What is that hole? Do these other ones have holes? No, I guess they do have holes. Little like key slots of some sort. So we're gonna give zone 6 an opportunity. Although I do need to find where it's at here. Oop. Good thing I put these rebar stakes to help hold them in place. Here we are. There's the other sprinkler. Now these things pop up quite high, pretty cool. Yeah, I'll just put this here. I just want to do a quick test. Make sure it works before I get too much further. And here's where the speed dramatically increases. I started using the auto time-lapse thing on my Google Pixel 6, and it would turn hours of work into just a few seconds, as you're seeing here. I mean, this is probably half the job, or maybe 1/3 of the job. It felt like was getting all this filled back in and smoothed out and all the rocks taken out and everything like that. But this just makes it absolutely fly. The tractor was extremely useful. So I'm filling all of this in using the tractor and then helping me push, putting those little flags so I try not to run over things. Getting it level is actually kind of hard with the tractor and whatnot because you're navigating around all these, all the little spots back up in there. So, yeah, but it's coming along, and there's gonna be a lot of rocks. I have my kids helping pick out rocks. They've picked up some rocks, made some piles back over in those areas. And I still need to come out and around here. Once I'm done with the valves and everything, that'll be really nice though. I'll be almost done with it right here. This is the last one. And then it's just a big 100-foot run over to where it goes into the house. I'm not sure why my daughter is just sitting in a lawn chair. Mama and Griffin are working hard though. I think Grant's got a nap. Laurel's got a baby monitor, keep track of him. Okay, turn to zone 4, give zone 4 a test. think they spray further than I wanted them to spray. I think there's an adjustment on them, supposedly. Hopefully. They look good. Here we go back into magical super speed mode, where hours of work look like mere seconds. Yeah, so here's me trying to pick out rocks, fill in the ditch, put sand in the ditch, covering the PVC, continuing on around the back, putting the valve boxes in over the valves so I can access them later. Endless rock picking, or the rockiest ground ever out here. So many rocks. If I ever buy another property, I'm going to show up with a pickaxe and dig into the ground and see how many rocks there are on it. And if there's a lot of rocks, I don't want it. Yeah, here's more super speed work. Hours of work turned into seconds of video. See my chickens in the far background. I thought I'd recorded this, but I guess not. I put sand down in the bottom along there and then just pushed the hill in, dragged it back and forth. This is a really rocky spot. See, I already have several rock piles. I need to collect some rocks from all around there, clean up everything, rake it out a little bit, smooth it with the tractor, and should be done. So my sprinkler system is now officially done. I spent hours out here with my kids picking rocks, but there's still more rocks. So we got the biggest ones, I think. There are no sprinklers in this area right here. It starts where those orange flags are. Each orange flag is a is where a sprinkler head or a valve box is. Those are going to let me know to avoid running over them, hopefully. The system works quite well. I have turned on zone 7 so you can see it. Here it is right here. And yeah, so the system is fully installed. I'm guessing for a brand new newbie like myself, it took me around 50 to 60 hours. But it lays out a ton of water pretty quick. I think that I have more pressure coming to the valve heads than I thought I would. So it's a little harder to control how much pressure is coming out of the Rainbird heads. But it shoots pretty far. And I adjusted them so that they lean over a little when they point towards the house. They don't hit the house. And they bomb out extra far going the other side. So yeah, works great.